You don't get to choose the future, but you do get to choose who you become before the future arrives. But I know this world feels loud, fast, overwhelming. Everyone is telling you who to be, how to live, what to want, but somewhere underneath the noise, you feel it, that quiet pull, the desire to grow, to evolve, to rise into the person you were always capable of becoming. And before the next year comes rushing at you with its challenges and blessings, there are things you must strengthen within yourself. Not for the world, but for your own soul. Let's walk through them together. 10 shifts that can change the entire trajectory of your life. Discipline is not the enemy people imagine it to be. It's not the harsh voice in your head telling you you're not enough. It's not the rigid structure that squeezes the joy out of your days. Real discipline is something softer, something sacred. It's the quiet promise you make to the future version of yourself, even when the present version of you is tired, scared, or uncertain. Most people think discipline is about forcing yourself into action. But the truth is, it begins with clarity. Clarity about what you want your life to feel like, not just what you want it to look like from the outside. When you understand the feeling you're chasing, the energy, the peace, the freedom, discipline becomes an act of devotion. Think of discipline as a bridge. On one side is where you stand today, full of dreams, potential, maybe a little chaos. On the other side is the life you imagine but haven't lived yet. And that bridge is built with small, steady choices. Showing up 5 minutes earlier. Saying no to something that drains you. Saying yes to something that stretches you. Choosing what matters over what is easy. Those choices don't always look heroic, but they are. They are the tiny bricks that build a life worth living. There were seasons in my own journey when everything around me was uncertain. Opportunities came and went. Plans changed overnight. I couldn't control the world, but I could control the way I showed up inside it. And that changed everything. Discipline didn't make me rigid. It made me resilient. It didn't take away my freedom. It gave me direction. It didn't limit my dreams. It protected them. Because the truth is, discipline is the shield that guards your potential from distraction, fear, and doubt. Every day you're either negotiating with your limitations or investing in your future. And discipline is the moment you choose the future, even when you're tired, even when you're overwhelmed, even when no one is watching to clap for you, especially then. Because discipline isn't a performance, it's a commitment. It's a private agreement that only you can honor. And the most powerful promises are the ones you keep with yourself. When you choose discipline, you're not choosing struggle, you're choosing STR. Akshar. You're choosing your intention. You're choosing the version of yourself who is unstoppable because she is consistent. The world rewards passion, yes, but passion without discipline burns out. Passion without structure collapses under pressure. But passion fueled by discipline becomes purpose. And purpose will take you farther than motivation ever could. There will be mornings when you don't feel inspired. Moments when your heart feels heavy. Days when everything in you wants to slow down or give up. Those are not the days discipline disappears. Those are the days it matters most. Because discipline is not built in victory, it's built in resistance. It grows in the moments when you push yourself gently but firmly toward what you know is right for you. It grows every time you choose alignment over approval, growth over comfort, faith over fear. Many people wait for motivation to arrive before they take action. But motivation is a guest. It comes and goes. Discipline is the home you build. It's steady. It's present, it's dependable. Motivation may spark the fire, but discipline keeps it burning long after the excitement fades. And one day you will look at your life and realize that everything you built, every dream you achieved, every mountain you climbed, came not from a burst of energy, but from the quiet consistency of showing up again and again. The world may not see your discipline, but it will see the results. It will see the strength in your eyes, the steadiness in your decisions, the confidence in your walk. Discipline shapes you from the inside out. It gives you the power to say, I choose who I become, instead of being shaped by circumstances, trends, or other people's timelines. When you honor discipline, you honor your destiny, and your destiny deserves someone who shows up for it with intention, respect, and courage. You don't need to transform overnight. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to commit to the smallest daily actions that align with the future you're building. Because the future is not created by chance. It's created by discipline. And the moment you choose discipline, you begin to walk toward the life that was always meant for you. Life will test you in ways you never expect. Not always with grand challenges, but with small, sharp moments that catch you off guard. Someone's careless words, a disappointment you didn't see coming, a door that closes just when you thought it would open. Emotional control is not about pretending these moments don't affect you. It's about learning how to hold your heart steady while the world around you shifts. It's about understanding that your reactions shape your reality more than the events themselves ever could. There is a space, a tiny, powerful space, between what happens to you and how you respond. Most people rush past it. They react with anger, fear, frustration, and defensiveness. They let the trigger pull them in every direction. But the moment you learn to pause, to breathe, to sit in that space even for a few seconds, you reclaim your power. That pause is where wisdom lives. That pause is where peace begins. Emotional control doesn't mean you suppress your feelings. You're human. You will hurt. You will doubt it. You will break down sometimes. Emotional control is allowing the feeling to arrive without letting it take over the driver's seat. It's acknowledging the storm without becoming the storm. Feelings are visitors. They come to tell you something, teach you something, reveal something, but they are not meant to build a home inside you unless you invite them to stay. There were moments in my own journey where emotion felt like a wave large enough to swallow me. Moments when criticism cut deep, when uncertainty clouded everything, when pressure tightened around my life like a fist. In those moments, emotional control felt impossible. But eventually, I learned a simple truth. Your emotions are valid, but they are not always accurate. Fear disguises itself as truth. Anger disguises itself as righteousness. Insecurity disguises itself as reality. But when you slow down and breathe, you begin to see beyond the disguise. The breath is your anchor. It is your reset button. It reminds your body that you are safe, your mind that you are capable, your spirit that you are guided. In the pause, you remember who you are. You remember your values. You remember your intentions. And from that grounded place, your response becomes intentional instead of impulsive.br. People will challenge your peace. Circumstances will test your patience. Life will hand you situations where the easiest thing to do is react out of hurt or fear. But emotional mastery is choosing dignity over chaos. It is choosing clarity over noise. It is choosing to answer with strength instead of allowing your wounds to speak for you. The person who controls their emotions controls their direction. They move with purpose instead of being pushed around by life's unpredictability. Think of your emotional state like the weather inside your soul. You cannot stop the rain from falling, but you can decide whether you carry an umbrella, whether you walk slowly through it, whether you curse the sky or dance in the storm. You always have a choice. And the more aware you become of that choice, the more powerful you feel. Not power over others, power over the only thing you can truly govern, yourself. There's a kind of freedom that comes from emotional maturity. The freedom to not take everything personally. The freedom to let people be who they are without letting their energy infect your own. The freedom to walk away from negativity without apologizing for protecting your peace. As you grow, you will realize that not everything deserves your reaction. Not every comment requires a response. Not every battle is worth fighting. Some things are simply distractions designed to pull you away from your purpose. But practice the pause, practice the breath, practice the art of stepping back before stepping forward. At first it will feel unnatural. You will want to react the way you always have. but over time your perspective will deepen. You'll notice when someone is projecting their pain onto you. You'll recognize when fear is exaggerating a situation. You'll understand when something is not personal, simply loud. And in those moments, you will choose differently. This is how you become unshakable. Not because life stops challenging you, but because you stop crumbling under it. Emotional control builds strength slowly, quietly, consistently. It gives you the ability to move through life with grace, even when things feel uncertain. It helps you protect your energy so that it can be used where it truly matters. You don't need to shut down your emotions. You just need to guide them. You just need to remember that you are the captain of your soul. And storms do not determine the strength of the ship. You do. The more you learn to master your reactions, the more peacefully and powerfully your life will unfold. There comes a time in life when you realize that the people around you are shaping you more than you ever noticed. Their words become the background music of your thoughts. Their habits slowly mirror themselves in your decisions. Their energy blends into your atmosphere until you can't even tell what feelings are truly yours. And this is why your inner circle matters, not because you need a large tribe, but because you need the right one. The people you allow close to your spirit are not just companions, they are influences, reflections, anchors, or distractions. And before you step into a new season of growth, you must become intentional about who stands beside you. You don't need a crowd, you need alignment. You need people who hold your name with respect when you're not in the room. People whose eyes light up when you talk about your dreams, instead of dimming with jealousy or doubt. People who see your potential even on days you can't see it yourself. These are the souls that water you. These are the ones who make your journey lighter, not heavier. There have been stages in my own path where I was surrounded by noise, opinions, expectations, judgments, projections. Some were subtle, some were loud, but almost all of them were pulling me in directions I didn't want to go. And the truth is, when you don't know who you are yet, you can easily start becoming who others think you should be. I learned that the hard way. I learned that not everyone who stands beside you is standing with you. Some are there out of convenience, not connection. Some stay as long as you fit into their comfort. The moment you grow, evolve, or elevate, our support fades into silence.br. Protecting your inner circle is not about building walls. It's about building boundaries. It's about choosing people who want to see you rise and are not intimidated when you do. You need people who challenge you gently, but hold you accountable fiercely. People who tell you the truth, not because they want to break you, but because they want to see you become stronger. People who pray for you, even when you don't hear them. People who celebrate your small steps, not just your major victories. Look closely at the ones you keep near. Do they drain you or fill you? Do they inspire you or exhaust you? Do you feel lighter after speaking to them? Or do you feel like you've lost a piece of yourself? Energy does not lie, and your spirit knows when it is being nourished or neglected. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do for your future is to gently release the people who belong to your past. Not with anger, not with resentment, simply with gratitude for what they taught you and clarity that they cannot accompany you further. A healthy inner circle doesn't fear your ambition. They don't mock your dreams. They don't dismiss your ideas. Instead, they look at you with a spark of belief saying, "Yes, go do it, I'm with you." They remind you of your worth on the days you forget. They sit with you in silence when you need stillness. They cheer for you louder than you cheer for yourself. They challenge you when you stagnate and comfort you when you stumble. And you must also be this kind of person for the people you love. Be someone who lifts others without keeping score. Be someone who celebrates others without comparison. Be someone who listens more deeply than you speak. When you give this kind of energy, you attract it back to you. Your circle becomes a mirror of your spirit. You will outgrow some relationships. It doesn't mean you're better than anyone. It simply means you're becoming better than you used to be. Growth demands space. Elevation demands clarity. And the next level of your life will require a different version of you, and often a different circle too. You are allowed to choose people who bring peace instead of chaos, People who bring truth instead of gossip, love instead of judgment. Imagine for a moment that your life is a garden. Who are the gardeners helping it bloom? Who are the weeds silently stealing your nutrients? Who are the roots anchoring you through storms? Who are the flowers brightening your days? Choose wisely. Your garden depends on it. Your inner circle will either fuel your momentum or derail it. They will either protect your flame or extinguish it. Before the next chapter of your life unfolds, make sure the people around you are aligned with where you're going, not just where you've been. Because the journey ahead requires strength, and sometimes the greatest strength is choosing who gets tea or walk beside you. But faith is the quiet strength that holds you together when everything else feels like it's falling apart. It's not loud, it's not dramatic. It doesn't announce itself with thunder. Faith whispers. It whispers to you in the dark when no one is watching. It whispers to you when you're tired of trying, when you're carrying a weight heavier than your own hope, when your plans crumble in your hands, and you're left wondering if you misheard your purpose. Faith is the hand that lifts your chin, reminding you that the story isn't over. Not yet, not ever, not as long as you keep walking. There were moments in my journey when I felt completely alone. Moments where the future looked blurred, like someone had smeared uncertainty across every inch of my path. People saw the surface, the successes, the opportunities, the wins. But beneath that surface, I faced battles no one could see. Nights of questioning, days of doubt, hours where it felt easier to shrink than to rise. In those moments, faith wasn't just helpful, it was necessary. It became the light I leaned toward when the world around me dimmed. Faith does not promise that life will be easy. It promises that you will not walk through it alone. It promises that strength will arrive exactly when you need it, not a moment sooner, not a moment later. Faith teaches you patience. It teaches you surrender. It teaches you that sometimes the delays are protection. Sometimes the rejections are redirections. Sometimes the closed doors are blessings disguised as barriers. When you learn to trust this rhythm, you stop fighting the process and start flowing with it. So many of us carry the weight of trying to control everything. Our timelines, our outcomes, other people's opinions, even the pace of our own growth. But control is exhausting. Control is fear pretending to be responsibility. Faith is different. Faith says, do your part, work with integrity, show up with consistency, and let the rest unfold. Faith is the release that comes when you realize that the universe or God or whatever you trust most deeply knows what you're capable of becoming even when you don't. There is a special kind of peace that comes when you stop asking, why is this happening to me? And start asking, what is this teaching me? Suddenly your heart softens, your perspective expands, you begin to see that every challenge carries a lesson and every disappointment carries direction. The things that once felt like obstacles begin to feel like invitations, inviting you to grow, to stretch, to deepen your character, to strengthen your spirit. One of the greatest misconceptions about faith is that it removes fear. It doesn't. Fear will always exist. Fear is human. Faith simply teaches you how to walk forward anyway. Faith is choosing to trust the light even when you're standing in the dark. Faith is taking the step even when you cannot see the staircase. Faith is believing in the unseen, the unknown, the unimaginable. And yet, somehow, faith always leads you to exactly where you were meant to be. When you deepen your faith, your heart becomes steadier. You stop seeking validation from the world because you learn to anchor your identity in something far greater than public approval or temporary achievement. Faith reminds you of your worth when the world tries to make you forget it. Faith reminds you of your purpose when failure tries to disguise it. Faith reminds you that even in your weakest moments, you are held, guided, supported, and strengthened. And faith doesn't just change how you see the world, it changes how you see yourself. It strips away the illusions of not being enough. It quiets the internal storms. It connects you to a deeper, more grounded version of you. The version that knows resilience isn't something you're born with, it's something you build through trust, surrender, and intention. That faith become your anchor. Let it become the soft place where your spirit rests, when life becomes overwhelming. Let it become your source of courage when your knees shake and your heart wavers. Let it become your foundation, not because you know what the future holds, but because you know you are not walking into that future alone. And when you finally look back one day, you will realize that the moments you thought were breaking you were actually shaping you. The moments you thought were detours were actually divine direction. And the moments you thought were endings were simply transitions into something bigger, something wiser, something beautifully aligned with your purpose. That is the quiet, extraordinary power of faith, guiding you, strengthening you, transforming you, even when you don't see it happening. Failure is a teacher most people run from, even though it's the one teacher that never stops showing up for them. We grow up fearing the word, treating it like a stain on our identity, something shameful, something that defines us. But failure is none of those things. Failure is movement. Failure is evidence that you tried. Failure is the doorway people stop in front of because they're too afraid to walk through. Yet on the other side of that doorway is where your resilience is built, your courage is sharpened, your purpose is clarified. There were moments in my life where I faced setbacks so unexpected, so painful that they made me question everything. My path, my choices, my worth. The world sees the victories, but it rarely sees the silent nights where you wonder if you've made a mistake, if you should have chosen something easier, something safer. But it was in those moments, those heavy, lonely moments, that I realized something powerful. Failure didn't weaken me. It revealed me. It showed me what I cared about enough to fight for. It showed me what dreams were, strong enough to survive disappointment. Failure is not a reflection of who you are. It's a reflection of where you are in the journey. It simply says, not yet, not now, not this way. And instead of seeing that as rejection, you have to learn to see it as redirection. Behind every failure is information. Information about what works, what doesn't, what needs to be adjusted, what needs to be let go. When you stop taking failure personally and start taking it purposefully, your whole life changes. We live in a world obsessed with perfection, where people show their highlight reels but hide their struggles. But struggles are where the story is. Struggles are where the character is built. Think of a seed. It must break open underground before it ever reaches the surface. That breaking is necessary. Without it, the plant would never grow. You are the same. Some parts of you must break so new parts of you can emerge. That breaking may look like failure, but it is really transformation in disguise. The truth is, failure hurts, it stings. It shakes your confidence. It wakes up every insecurity you thought you had overcome. But that discomfort is part of the process. Growth never comes wrapped in comfort. Growth arrives wrapped in challenge, wrapped in uncertainty, wrapped in the unknown. And failure is simply the marker that you are expanding beyond who you used to be. There were times where failure pushed me to my knees. Times when I had to rebuild myself from scratch. Times when I had to look in the mirror and decide whether I would let a moment define me or refine me. And every time, choosing refinement made me stronger. When you fail, you learn humility, you learn adaptability, you learn resilience. You learn that you can stand up again, even when your legs are shaking, even when your heart is bruised. Failure teaches you to detach your identity from your outcomes. You are not the job you lost. You are not the opportunity that slipped away. You are not the dream that didn't unfold the way you pictured it. You are the strength that rose afterward. You are the determination that refused to quit. You are the spirit that kept believing despite the disappointment. Most people let failure stop them because they think it means they are not enough. But what if failure is simply asking you to become more skilled, more focused, more disciplined, more patient, more aligned? What if failure is not the end, but the invitation to rise higher than you imagined? What if every rejection is clearing the path for something that fits your soul better? When you shift your relationship with failure, you stop seeing it as a threat and start seeing it as a guide. You start understanding that failure is part of the sacred choreography of becoming. It pushes you inward. It pushes you upward, it pushes you forward, and the more you embrace it, the stronger you become. DRM. Imagine if you never failed. Imagine if everything came easily. You would never learn resilience. You would never learn depth. You would never discover how powerful you truly are. Failure is not your enemy. Your fear of failure is. Fear keeps you small. Failure helps you grow. Fear keeps you in the doorway. Failure pushes you through it. One day, you will look back at every setback you survived and say, that was necessary. Not because it was painless, but because it propelled you. It expanded you, it awakened you, it shaped the person you were always meant to become. And that is the real purpose of failure. Not to stop you, but to strengthen you for the greatness ahead. Your health is the foundation that carries every dream you dare to hold. Your body, your mind, and your spirit are not separate. They are three strings of the same instrument. If even one string is neglected, the music of your life loses harmony. We often chase success so aggressively that we forget the vessel we're using to chase it. We forget to rest. We forget to breathe. We forget to nourish ourselves. We forget that a tired soul can't produce clarity, and a neglected body can't carry a powerful destiny. There were times in my journey when I pushed myself harder than I should have, when I believed exhaustion was the price of ambition, when I treated rest like weakness and silence like a waste of time. But life has a way of reminding you that your body is not a machine, your mind is not a battlefield, and your spirit is not an afterthought. Your health is your greatest asset, and it deserves your deepest respect. Your physical health is not about chasing perfection. It's about honoring the body that has carried you through every season of your life. The body that healed your injuries, the body that survived heartbreak, the body that woke up for you every day even when your mind didn't want to. Strengthen it, nourish it, move it, hydrate it, rest it. Treat your body like a friend, not a burden you're dragging through life. When your body feels supported, everything else becomes easier. Your focus, your mood, your discipline, your creativity. But caring for your physical health is only one part of the journey. Your mental health is equally sacred. You carry so many thoughts in a single day. Fears, hopes, memories, anxieties, expectations. Your mind can be your most powerful ally or your greatest enemy, depending on how you tend to it. Silence is not laziness, it is medicine. Reflection is not indulgence, it is clarity. Saying, I need help is not weakness, it is strength. You must learn to rest your mind the same way you rest your body. You must give yourself permission to slow down before life forces you to. There are emotional wounds we try to outrun. Old stories, painful memories, hidden insecurities. But what you suppress doesn't disappear, it simply waits. It waits for the quiet mom. Ends to resurface. It waits for vulnerability to appear. And if you don't face it, it begins to shape your choices without your permission. Healing begins when you stop running from your pain and start listening to it. Every emotion you feel has a message. Fear asks for courage. Anger asks for boundaries. Sadness asks for release. Love asks for openness. When you honor your emotions, you strengthen your mental resilience. And then there is your spirit. The quiet center of your being, the part of you that speaks in whispers instead of words. Your spirit needs nourishment too. It needs stillness, it needs connection, it needs faith, it needs grace. Your spirit is the compass that guides you when logic fails. It is the intuition nudging you toward the right people, the right decisions, the right paths. But you can only hear it when you give yourself space to listen. If you're constantly busy, constantly distracted, constantly rushing, you lose connection to the deepest part of yourself. Balance doesn't happen by accident. It happens by choice. By deciding that your well-being is not optional. By setting boundaries around your energy. By stepping away from anything that drains you more than it grows you. By saying no without guilt. By resting without apologizing. By choosing foods that fuel your body, conversations that fuel your mind, and environments that fuel your spirit. In this world, burnout is glorified. Constant productivity is praised. But what's the point of reaching the top if you're too depleted to enjoy it? What's the point of achieving your dreams if your health collapses under their weight? Your ambition is powerful, but your health is what sustains it. There is no dream so important that it is worth the destruction of your body, your peace, or your spirit. You deserve a life where you feel strong, grounded, energized, and connected. A life where you wake up with gratitude instead of dread. A life where your health is not a second thought but a sacred priority. When you take care of yourself, the world around you shifts. Your relationships deepen. Your purpose sharpens. Your joy expands. Remember this, you only get one body, one mind, one spirit. Treat them like treasures, not tools. Treat them like blessings, not burdens. Align them, strengthen them, nourish them, and your entire life will rise to meet you with a new kind of clarity and strength. Because true success is not measured by what you achieve, it is measured by how whole you become while achieving it. Focus is the superpower this generation keeps losing. Not because we don't have dreams, but because we're surrounded by distractions disguised as priorities. Every notification pulls at your attention. Every comparison steals a little of your confidence. Every noise, digital or emotional, tries to convince you that you're missing out on something. But the truth is, the only thing you're missing out on is your own potential when you refuse to focus. There comes a point in your life where you have to choose what deserves your energy and what doesn't. You have to choose what deserves your time and what simply doesn't belong in your hands anymore. Focus is not about removing everything from your life. It's about elevating what matters most. It's choosing the important over the urgent, the meaningful over the convenient, the aligned over the impressive. I learned this the hard way. There were times in my journey when I said yes to everything because I didn't want to disappoint anyone. I thought being busy meant being successful, but being busy only made me scattered. It diluted my intentions. It divided my strength. And the more I chased everything, the further away I felt from myself. The day I learned to focus, everything changed. One decision, one intention, one path executed with clarity is more powerful than a dozen half-hearted attempts. Focus is about depth, not speed. You don't need to move fast. You need to move deliberately. You don't need to chase every opportunity. You need to honor the ones that align with your purpose. The world will constantly tempt you with shortcuts, but nothing meaningful grows in shallow soil. Depth requires devotion. Depth requires patience. Depth requires saying, "This matters enough for me to give it my full energy." But we treat our attention like it's infinite, but it's not. Your attention is currency. It has value. Every day you're spending it somewhere. On your fears, on your goals, on other people's opinions, on your distractions. And if you're not careful, you'll spend so much of it on things that don't matter that you'll have nothing left for the things that do. Focus doesn't mean isolation. It means intention. It means waking up with a sense of direction, instead of drifting through your days, hoping they lead somewhere meaningful. It means asking yourself, is this pulling me closer to who I want to become, or pulling me further away? When you begin to answer that question honestly, your life becomes clearer. Choices become simpler. Noise becomes easier to ignore. The hardest part of cultivating focus is not the discipline, it's the letting go. Letting go of distractions that feel comfortable. Letting go of people who drain your energy. Letting go of habits that pull you backward. Letting go of the version of yourself that's afraid to commit fully to anything. Because full commitment feels like vulnerability. It feels like risk. It feels like standing on the edge of your potential and trusting yourself enough to jump. There is a stillness you must learn to create within yourself. A stillness that quiets the world long enough for you to hear your own voice again. That voice is your compass. That voice knows what you were built for. That voice will tell you what to pursue and what to release. But you can't hear it when you're constantly distracted. You can't hear it when you're consumed with comparison. You can't hear it when your attention is scattered in 1,000 directions. When you learn to focus, opportunities begin to recognize you. Doors open not because you chase them, but because your clarity pulls them toward you. People begin to take you seriously because you take yourself seriously. Your work becomes deeper. Your vision becomes stronger. Your spirit becomes calmer. Focus is not just a skill, it's a lifestyle. It is the art of choosing yourself again and again in a world that's trying to convince you to choose everything else. Imagine your life as a beam of light. When the light is scattered, it illuminates nothing deeply. But when the light is concentrated, it becomes powerful enough to cut through steel. That is what happens when you focus. You become unstoppable, not because you're doing everything, but because you're doing the right things with intention, with heart, with full presence. The future belongs to those who know how to focus, those who protect their energy like treasure, those who choose depth over noise, those who are willing to step away from distractions long enough to build something extraordinary. Before you step into the next season of your life, ask yourself, what deserves my attention? What deserves my devotion? What deserves my presence? But because whatever you choose to focus on will shape who you become. In the end, remember this: life is not asking you to be perfect. It is asking you to be willing to rise again, willing to listen to the whisper within, but willing to trust the path even when you cannot see the next step. You are not navigating this world alone. There is a strength holding you, guiding you, shaping you into someone braver than your fears and wiser than your past. Every challenge you face is not a punishment. It is preparation, bar. Every delay is not a denial. It is direction. And every closed door is simply clearing the way for one that was always meant for you. Bar, walk into the next chapter with courage. Walk with clarity. Walk with faith that the one who designed your purpose has already equipped you for it. You are more capable than you know, more resilient than you realize, and more chosen than you can imagine. .br. So go. Go with intention. .br. Go with strength. .br. Go with a heart that refuses to surrender. And when doubt tries to pull you backward, lift your chin and remind yourself, I am guided, I am held, and I am becoming exactly who I was created to be. But the world is waiting for your light. Now step forward and shine.